This is Bookmarks with Richard Gads.
Hello again, Richard Gads here. I'm in Keynsham, I'm in my kitchen, I've got a cuppa, and with me is Lucie Ebrey, a cartoonist and illustrator. Would that be a fair description?
No, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Tell us all about your new book, because this is Cowgirls and Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah, so it's my debut graphic novel. Mm-hmm. It's a children's graphic novel. I think it's for around children. I think we're shooting for 9 to 12, that kind of demographic. But obviously it's all ages. If you wanted to grab it, I'm not judging you. I read kids' graphic novels. I think they're lovely. Okay. But yeah, it's an action comic. It follows two characters as they go across the Wild West kind of setting. The twist is, though, this time there's a bunch of dinosaurs in it. There's also a bunch of magic as well. All kinds of madcap things happen to them. Yeah, it tried to pack it in with as much action as I possibly could, the kind of thing that I knew that I'd want to read if I was a kid.
Absolutely. I've read it, it's great fun.
Oh, thank you.
It kind of reads like a sort of old-fashioned buddy movie, you know, sort of travel type thing. Was that something that was in your mind as you were writing it?
Not something that I was actively thinking about, but I think it's definitely subconsciously the framework of it is embedded in my brain. Like, especially thinking that kind of buddy thing. It's kind of that. When I was working on it, I was like, oh no, it's a bit like Toy Story because it's like a cowboy character, but like kind of like, you know, enemies to buddies kind of thing. Yeah. Like, I think like the not exactly the same way, but that kind of trains, planes, and automobiles kind of thing where they start off hating each other, and by the end of it, they're like bosom buddies kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It struck me as a story that's basically about friendship.
No, definitely.
And and about sort of embracing people you didn't think you would embrace.
No, completely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So presumably that was very much at the forefront.
Yeah, sure. Like, definitely. I when I was doing like research for it, thinking like, because someone like an agent approached me and was like, oh, would you like to pitch a graphic novel? And of course I was like, oh, I'd love to do that. That sounds really great. But I had like a bunch of different ideas. I didn't really know what to settle on. But one of the things I did know is that I wanted to have a story where children weren't always super sweet and nice and kind. I get really frustrated when I see children's media and children don't act selfish or like irrational or mean. Because, you know, kids are humans and children especially feel those kind of things because they aren't always the best at regulating their emotions. And I think in general it's just satisfying to have a character who's a bit big-headed and a bit maybe less self-centered. And gradually realize that maybe they aren't the center of the world and that they have, you know, room to let other people take on things that they want to do as well. Yeah.
I love the little bandits.
Oh, thank you.
I should explain, listeners, these little bandits who are the little brothers of I've forgotten their name, Bandit Queen.
Yeah.
And they're the bad guys. And they're tremendous fun. I was trying to think who they reminded me of, possibly the Three Stooges or something like that.
They definitely have that kind of vibe. Like, they're identical because that's easy to draw. But there are like minor differences, like slightly different haircuts to like tell them apart. But they do have like, you can kind of notice it if you're paying attention, but they do have slightly different personalities. There's one that's a bit more sensitive and sweet. There's one that's kind of the leader, and then there's one who's kind of like the gruff guy. So it's not like super present, but I did kind of keep that in mind to help differentiate them, because I think in the script they were just like brother one, brother two. Right. So it's just an easy way of me doing different things with them, so they didn't feel quite as samey.
Give us an outline of your career, because I was having a look at your website, and there's an enormous range of stuff that you've done. You know, illustrations and comic strips and all sorts.
Yeah, so I've loved comics since I was a little kid. I think that was like the starting point. I think I picked up like the Beano when I was about 7 years old.
Right.
I've still got the original copy. It's like really dog-eared now. But I was really just enraptured with it. And I think I always liked comics and that kind of like comic characters. Like, I really loved Snoopy and I loved Spider-Man, like all that kind of thing. But that was the first comic that I got kind of obsessed with. Like, I made sure to get like the Beano every week, and I was like a member of the Beano club. I've still got like my gold membership in my like box of stuff in my flat. From there, like I always kind of kept drawing. When I was a teenager, I got very like busy with school and kind of fell off a little bit. But then when it was time for sort of deciding what I wanted to do with my life, I was like, well, the only thing I really know I want to do is draw. So I went to do my foundation course in arts, and then I went to Falmouth University for arts. So that was back in 2012. But yeah, and like from there, once I graduated, because I'd done a lot of personal work as a student, like I had my coursework, but because my course was lovely, but they weren't particularly, not exactly enthusiastic, but kind of indifferent towards comics, and that was the thing I really wanted to do. A lot of that was done on my own, and because I'd been posting my comics online on websites like Tumblr, back when that had a lot more traffic, I was like meeting people online and making like online connections, and so I was like having my comics in these little like zine collections that other people had organized, and I joined like Comic Book Slumber Party, which was like a female comics group, and that was really cool at the time. I was like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I'm a girl who makes comics. It's so nice. And then once I graduated, I had the classic, what do I do now? Like, I spent a bit of time, just like applying for part-time jobs and stuff, and not hearing back from anybody. But then I kind of hit my stride where I got like an illustration job with Oxford University Press doing their Creeper Files books, and that was like my the kind of motivation, the kind of momentum I needed even to kind of just keep going from there. So from there, like I did some illustrations for those books, and from there I just kind of kept picking up small little things like here and there, like little freelance gigs. They'd be like either comic pages. I did some comics for, there's like TV shows Adventure Time and like The Amazing World of Gumball. I don't think they still do, but they had like comics running at the time. So I did like comics for them. And yeah, just in general, just like a few other things. And like every like artist does, like I made my own like merch and stuff, and I have my own online shop, which I still do. So just like anything to kind of keep spinning the wheel, because money doesn't come in super regularly when you're an artist.
Tell me about it.
But yeah, so like at the moment, because this, like I've been working on this graphic novel for quite some time, and it's been in the background. That has been my main focus, but I've still been doing like freelance things when I have the time. I did some art for like a rap board game a few years ago, so that was really cool. It was like a printout thing for COVID, because people obviously couldn't meet up and do things, so it was like it was designed that you could all print it out and play it over Zoom. So that was really nice. I really like that one. I've done a bunch of different things. Like the thing about being a freelance artist, especially at the moment, is you just got to have 8,000 wheels.
All
just
going at once.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's all right. I feel your pain. It must be very different approaching, a commissioned illustration type job to something like a graphic novel.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's some ways where it's easier, because there is the kind of weight taken off, where it's someone who's like, I want you to do this, instead of having to figure out what it is that you're going to be doing. Then there's different challenges where, depending on your client, it could be a really easy job, or they could be really indecisive and ask for 8,000 changes, and that's why you should always put in your contract that you can only do up to 5 changes. Yes,
I've heard that from other people. Yes.
You learn the hard way. Yeah. When it's a graphic novel and it's entirely your own thing, and because I did, I wrote it and like illustrated it. The only thing I didn't do were the colours, and that was done by a really talented colorist called Boya Sun, who I'm eternally grateful for. They look really nice. I couldn't have done it. It would have taken like 5 years for me to colour this entire book. I'm not very quick at colouring. But yeah, like it's a different challenge. I think your ego gets tied in more when it's your own baby.
Oh, yeah.
And like, definitely if I'm working with a client, I always want to do like the best job I can, and like, 'cause I want them to have a good product, and I want myself to look good. I want to be like, yeah, I made that. But it is definitely like a different part of your brain kind of goes into fight mode, I think.
Yeah. What's the editorial process like on something like a graphic novel? Because I'm a prose person, so I understand what all that is about. But to edit, pictures and words, it seems like a very different kind of process.
Yeah, I think I had a really, because the main bulk of me working on this was done over COVID. Because the way it worked, obviously, was I got asked if I wanted to pitch a book. We pitched a few ideas. This is the one they went with. So that was already like, wow, that's great. They want to do the book. But then when it came to getting the book made, the process kind of goes like this: like you gum up the concept, and then you'll write the script, so that you know what's going on in that story.
Yeah. Is that the script sort of very like a film script?
It is super like a film script. Yeah, most of it is like character says this, character says that, and then there might be like a little thing being like they cross the room and grab a cup, that kind of thing.
Right.
Which is just there for like future me being like, oh cool, they cross the room and they grab a cup. I'll draw that. But yeah, and also just to help, because until the next stage, which is thumbnails, there won't be a visual element for anybody who's reading it from the publisher. And obviously, like, I'll show them the script and be like, what do you think of this? And they might be like, it's too long, or like, cut this scene out, this doesn't need to be here, or like, oh, there's, normal editorial notes I think you'd get. And from there, you do the thumbnails, which is where you break it down in like tiny little sketch, like kind of doodle kind of state, where you break down each page, and that means you know how long the book is going to be, and the pacing of the book, and it gives you kind of an idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished. My thumbnails are really chicken scratchy, because I think as long as you get like the energy of the page, and I'm the one who's going to be drawing it, so as long as I can read it, and like it's kind of readable to show to an editor, it's fine. And then once that's like been approved, and like they're like, okay, the book is an okay length, you can move on. So then you do the pencils. I did all of mine traditionally. Like I did this entire book, like pencils and inks were drawn on paper. So I've got like a giant stack of both in my studio back in Bristol. And yeah, so from there they kind of keep an eye on it. When I was working on it, it was over lockdown. And I think maybe if I hadn't been locked down, maybe I would have had a few more people jump on. And like I kind of felt like I was working on it in a little bit of a weird vacuum. Because it's how many pages is this? Like 200. It's like 280 pages. Oh my god. So I was doing that in like a house with just my housemates for company, and a few people did like chip in occasionally. But there were a few times when I was like, "Is this book even real? Have I like tricked myself into thinking that anyone's like, is this
a dream?"
A little bit. There were a few times where I had to like check emails, and I was like, "I did that. This is a real person, right? Let me Google them to make sure they're a real person," because it was just like I'm working on this book, and like it feels like it's just kind of like no one's saying anything. So and then like obviously I finished it and they're like, oh cool, thank you so much. I was like, oh, you are real, that's great. Yeah, like it was a weird feeling. It was like simultaneously like, oh, I'm really glad that I'm working on this book, but also like the world is on fire in the background. And also like, is anyone actually looking at these pages that I'm sending over? Help me.
So you can sort of sometimes be writing into a vacuum.
Oh, there were a few pages where I was like, am I going insane? And because comics take a really long time to make, because they're all like I say handmade. Obviously, a lot of comics now get done on computers, which is completely valid. But I was literally drawing them all on pieces of paper. I was like,
you haven't been tempted to switch over to tablets and things like that?
So I've kind of started like since I finished this book. I love drawing things on I love my drawing desk. It's like I love sitting at my drawing desk and be like, my drawing desk. But
I'm like that with my bureau.
Yeah, it's nice. It's laborious, and it is unfortunately very time consuming especially the pencils, because they're like the flexible stage. Like you should be able to like rub them out and like change stuff. It is unfortunately just smarter to work digitally for that part now. So I've started testing out drawing on like a tablet that I've had since I was like a student to do the pencils, and it's still it's really fun. It's still drawing, but it is that thing where I thought, oh, I drew this character too small in the scene. I don't have to rub them out. I can just select the character and like shrink them. And I'm like, oh, that saved me like 15 minutes. And that really adds up when you're doing like an entire book and you don't have a lot of time. Unfortunately, the big enemy of drawing is always like time and other commitments. Like I've got part-time jobs that I've got to get to. I can't always justify really pouring out everything onto a page. Sometimes I've got to kind of be like, oh, I've got to work this as quick as I can.
Well, I bet because it's a deceptive, isn't it? It's because you look at the page and you sort of assume that somebody has taken a pen, just drawn the picture as you see it on the page, and that's it.
I'm sure someone who's very talented could do that, and I'm very jealous of them if they can. I do know some people who really go into, their pencils are really loose, and they do just fill it all in. I couldn't do that. I'd make a mistake.
Do you find you have to do lots of stages then, with finer and finer detail?
I kind of try. I think I went through different processes when I was like, because like the next stage after doing the pencils is inking, and that's like the fun part, kind of, because it's like the final stretch, and it's also where you get like all the personality. Like I use a brush pen, which I really love. It gives you this really chunky line that you can taper to different like kind of weights and stuff, and it gives it like a really dynamic look. And like I think I went through different stages of using it. I think when I first did the inks, I tried to get every page perfect and then move on to the next page. So that meant like if there was an area, like one of the characters, or both of them actually, have got like black hair. So I'd like fill in the black hair with my brush pen and stuff, and I'd get all like the backgrounds, like all the little like notches on like the wooden floor and on like the desks and stuff looking nice. But I think as the project went on and the pages just didn't stop, and just the weight of how much work I had to do kind of hit me. I think I did try. I was like, well, what if I just come back to them? I think I'd have days where I'd like sit down and then like fill in all the black areas and fill in all the details. I think there's like different ways. I don't think either one is worse than the other. But yeah, it's tricky to know like, okay, am I done with this page yet? Is it good? Can I move on to the next one? I did when I was scanning in the pages to send over. There were a few times when I was like, oh, I can just before because once you scanned it, that's it. That you got to make peace with that's what the page looks like, and that's what the public is going to see. So if there's anything you want to change, but you can't get too precious about it. And I think once you realise you've got 280 pages to scan in, you are kind of like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
Well, it's quite heartening actually how similar that is to the prose process. It's like, do you have how would you characterise your style? Because again, looking at your website, there's a lot of different kinds of things, but the essential sort of Ebrey-ness of it is always there. Do you think? Do you self-consciously have a style, or is it just something that just kind of flows from the pen sort of thing?
I think I get kind of a bit self-conscious about like, oh, do I have a distinct style? I think I definitely do. I'm not sure how much of that is just from like how I ink things, and maybe it kind of deceptively looks kind of more uniform, because I always use a brush pen. A few times I've tried using like a dip pen, and I think my stuff does look kind of different, so I'm not sure if it is like, but yeah, I think even when I'm doing more mature comics, like stuff that isn't maybe necessarily for children, there's still kind of a kind of cartoony quality to it. I don't think I can ever fully break away from it, so I think maybe that's maybe using a brush pen and having a more cartoony flair to my artwork might be the thing that kind of hopefully links everything. Like I could, if I really wanted to, I suppose, like really break free and do a completely different style and try and really hammer that in and break free from all like the kind of conventions that I usually like maybe like subconsciously lean on. But like I don't think I enjoy it very much.
What are some of the comic strips and graphic novels that you like that are around at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm unfortunately like I realised this because I went to Canada recently. They have an art show there called TCAF, which is in their like public reference library. So I think it's the Toronto Comics Comics Art Festival. It's something like that. But yeah, it was really lovely to go and like see people, and like a few people brought their copies of the books. It came out in America last year, so they've already had it for like a hot minute. This is its like UK debut, and obviously because I'm like UK. But it was really enlightening because I was like, oh, I feel like I've been really out of the loop with comics. While I was working on the graphic novel, I think I was so burnt out from like comics all the time, all day, that I kind of fell off reading like the mainstream comics that were coming in. And that's such a shame, because as I was walking around TCAF, I was looking at, there's like independent artist tables, and then there's also like the publisher tables. And I was like scoping out like the children's graphic novels and kind of seeing like, oh, what's going on at the moment, because I'm part of the industry now. But there were some really lovely looking books, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. Most of the stuff that I picked up were independent zines from like local artists or artists like me who'd come internationally. But yeah, I think I need to get back into thinking more about what is like currently coming out and getting excited for like releases. I think for a while as well I had this thing where I was like, oh, I've got like this imposter syndrome. I was kind of scared, I think, to read other comics in case they weren't, in case mine didn't match up, and I was like, oh no, did I make a bad book?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I feel exactly the same. Well, it's so because you tend to have, when you read the the rival stuff, you tend to have two reactions. You either think this is brilliant, and my stuff is terrible in comparison, or you think this is terrible. How did this get published? And my work of genius didn't.
You know, literally, it's like
So-
you look like my book's pretty
Yeah.
good. I would have done this differently.
Well, exactly. Well, you do, don't you? Because you think, when you're in the same sort of field, naturally you think, well, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have done that. Which isn't something that I think readers think.
Oh no, yeah,
in
for sure.
any way. They don't think, oh, well, if only so-and-so had written this, and it would be different. But, you do get this... you never get rid of imposter syndrome.
No, I was really hoping, I was like,
Yeah.
once I have a book out, I'll never feel it again because
No.
I'll have something to prove. And it's like, oh no, it only made it worse.
No, sorry, it only gets worse over time. I'm terribly sorry.
No.
Well, that's a depressing thought.
I think, like, at least the one thing that I have is that, like, I am someone who sometimes gets really, like, oh, my art is really bad. Oh, I feel really inferior to all people. Like, these people, they'll be, like, artists who are about 24 years old. And I'm like, oh, they're so much younger than me, and their art is so much better. Grr. What was I doing when I was 24, trying to find a part-time job? What was I thinking?
Yeah. Well, the thing, that way lies madness. You just got to...
Oh, no,
you just
completely.
gotta plow on.
You make
kind
your
of thing.
peace with it, and then you're
Yeah.
like, actually, now I'm more excited to draw because I've got something to prove. And
Yeah.
then that's like the thing that moves you on to the next thing. Then hopefully you'll be better next time.
Yeah.
Not that the stuff you were making was bad, but it feels nice to have that constant drive. In a way, I think if I didn't have that,
Yeah.
maybe I would have gotten bored with drawing like a few years ago, or got defeated earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe my stubbornness is like, oh, I've got something to prove now.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
to succeed.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, stubbornness. And you've also got to sort of kind of have an ego the size of
Oh, a little bit.
major municipal building,
Like-
because you've got to plough on.
Literally, yeah. Like, I think I read an interview, and it's like a different field. It was a video game developer who I really admire his work. And I was like, he's one of those successful people who made a video game all by himself, and it made bajillion dollars, pounds. Like, it's been a huge seller. It's called, like, Stardew Valley. It's like a farming game.
Yeah.
And in his interview, I remember him saying that when he was working on it, he kind of had to convince himself that he was gonna, like, make an amazing game, and that, like, he was destined for greatness.
Yeah.
And I think, like, in a vacuum, you'd be like, wow, what a big-headed thing to say. Like,
Yeah.
pretty presumptuous there, buddy. But you kind of do have to think that when I'm working after having done, like, a shift at one of my part-time jobs, and I'm on a deadline crunch, and all I really want to do is go to bed, but I really need to get comics done.
Yeah.
That does really help. You kind of do have to be
Yeah.
like, no, actually, this is going to work out and it's going to do great.
Yeah.
And it might not. I know for sure that it might not.
Yeah.
But like, you need to have that to keep you going. Otherwise, you're just going to collapse.
Yeah. I find it goes in waves. I normally get about a third of a way through a book, and I'm thinking, this is trash. I might as well just forget it. And then I think, oh no, actually, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Now keep going. And then about 2/3 of the way in, oh no, I'm wasting my life.
Oh, literally.
And then by the time you finish it, put the end, reread it. Oh, it's okay. But as you say, it's.
No, there'll be
you have to do
sometimes
that.
we've got like a copy of the book just like kicking around in our like flat because just there you go, that's my book.
Yeah.
And whenever I like pick it up and flick through it, I'll either be to my girlfriend like, oh, this is terrible, what was I thinking? Or sometimes I'll be like, you know what, this isn't actually too bad, and she'll be like, that's great.
Because sometimes, you can look back at work and you think, oh, actually, that's better than I thought it was.
Oh yeah, completely.
But sometimes you look back and think, oh, this is a disaster. Why did I do this?
I found like a bunch of comics, like in my parents' house. There's like a little folder in the guest room that's sort of my designated guest room.
Yeah.
And I found like a bunch of comics I made when I was like 7, and they're I don't think I finished any of them. They were all like just paper that I folded and then stapled.
Yeah.
And are they good artwork? Oh my gosh, no, they are not good artwork. But some of it, like the vibe of it, I'm like, this is actually really funny. I think this is genuinely, if I punch this up, this is
Yeah.
there's like personality there. I think that's like pretty good.
Yeah.
So like maybe in a few years I'll read this and be like, that was actually extremely good of me to have done that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very brave to have kept it. I've binned everything, all my juvenilia. as they
I think
call it,
any
is
gone.
gone.
writing that I've got from when I was a kid, I was like, I'm gonna get rid of that. That's going in the
Yeah.
shredder. But any drawing, I'm like, oh, I feel like weirdly sentimental towards it.
There's a twang of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
You say you've got a lot of influence from things like Beano and so forth, but I understand you're a bit of a horror film fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What's some of your favourites?
Ooh, okay. So everyone who knows me, knows that like my favorite, I think, of all time is The Wicker Man. That's like my favorite horror movie. I remember seeing it when I think I was like 9. It was on New Year's Eve for some reason, and it was like, oh, like I wouldn't normally be allowed to watch this, but it was like New Year's Eve. So, and I remember watching it and thinking at the end, spoilers for The Wicker Man, in a minute the helicopter's gonna come around and they're gonna save him, and it's gonna be And when they didn't, I remember being like, I'd never seen a film end like that, and like I kind of forgot about it for a few years, and I got really back into it when I was a student. I'm so into it, in fact, that on my 30th birthday the other year, my friends did like a surprise Wicker Man party for me. So like we did like
terrible.
It was great. Like we
Get
did
in here.
It wasn't that bad. I will say whenever I tell people, they're like, did they put you on a Wicker Man? Like, they didn't put me in a Wicker Man. What they did do though was very sweet. They like rented out like a little mini movie theater. There's like I feel so bad, I can't think of the place at the moment. But they have like a little cinema screening room in this little DVD shop in Bristol on the Christmas steps. And they all dressed up in like May Day gear with like white robes and flowers, and we watched the movie, and then they had like a little cake with like a little matchstick Wicker Man that they'd made me, so we like took that outside and burnt it, and we're like, yay. We danced around it. But I love The Wicker Man. I think as someone who's always lived in the city, there is something about the countryside that I am vaguely quite scared of, and I think that film really taps into it, especially for like a fish out of water. And, he does, I guess you could argue he has it coming. But, like, there was an element to it, it's like, oh no, like, I wouldn't feel comfortable here. Like, would they put me in a Wicker Man? But I just also think it's just, like, a beautiful film. Like, it's so campy and fun, and, like, the soundtrack is really good, and, like, the vibe is so good. I'm trying to think of other horror movies that I love The Thing as well.
Oh, yes.
That's a great one. I watched that recently with my girlfriend. She'd never seen it before.
It's one of those films I think you've got to see at least twice.
Yeah, definitely.
The first time, you're so shocked at how gory it is.
Oh, it's disgusting. The first time I ever watched it was during a horror movie marathon with a friend of mine, and I think this marathon was like 16 hours, and I think this came in around hour 12, so at this point I was already like deliriously tired. And I'm really grateful that we'd had pizza the movie before, because if I had tried to watch this movie while eating, I watched it in lockdown, and I ordered a kebab, and it was so gross I couldn't finish the kebab. I was like, it's fine, it'll get here before the disgusting stuff happens. It didn't, they were late. And I was like, oh, can we stop watching it? And my friend was like, no, let's keep watching it. And I was like, ugh.
But my kebab is on the screen there.
Oh, it was so disgusting. And I was like, so good. But no, I love that movie. I think it's like the dread, and I kind of do wish that I could just like wipe my brain and go into it like blind. It was really nice watching it with my girlfriend because she didn't know what was going on. She was just like, why are they being so mean to that dog? And I was just like, oh, I don't know, it's crazy. Who's to say?
Yeah. Did you like that sort of prequel that they did?
I kind of did. I understand there's like, I know that there was like, it went through development hell, and I know they changed a lot of the practical effects into CGI, which is a huge bummer because that's like the cool thing about the original. I think it's alright. I don't think it's anything interesting. I do think like it's kind of like, oh, well, I know what's going to happen to these people because I saw the first one. But I do think it's got some things in it that are genuinely really creative. I don't think it's perfect. I understand why people don't like it. But I think it's pretty good. I like that it's got like 2 women in it. That's cool.
Well, I was quite... I liked it because they were quite clever about how they tied up the state that the base was in.
Oh yeah, when they put the axe down, I'm like, that's why the axe is like that in the first
That's
one.
why it's there, and the big block of ice and all that sort of thing. I thought that was quite clever.
I thought like the way they test for the thing as well, like it's very similar. I think they do like thing with fillings, and I remember thinking that was like really smart.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool. I would be in danger because I don't have any fillings, so like, would they burn me? That's really like, like just because I take care of my teeth.
Well, that's it. You can see them sitting around a table thinking, okay, we've got to do the same thing in the plot, but how can we do it differently? Yeah. And some bright spark said, filling.
Yeah, I think it's, and like the piercing, like, I think comes like is like a Chekhov's Chekhov's earring later on. I'm like, that's pretty clever, I like that.
But I think one of my favourites recently has been Evil Dead Rise.
Oh, see, I haven't seen any of those, which is such a shame because I love the original, not the first Evil Dead. I've actually never seen that one, but like the second and third one. Yeah, I really love those movies. They're such like camp, stupid fun.
They're so absolutely horrid and funny.
Yeah,
Evil Dead, right? You should see it. Actually.
Yeah, I've heard really good things. It's like it's a little edgier, right, than the original.
It's possibly the most blood-soaked film I have ever seen in my life. I was sitting there, sort of, jaw dropping, but it's such fun, and Barbarian. Have you seen that one?
No, but I keep. It was one of those films that, like, when it came out, I saw loads of, like, think pieces about it, and I was like, no, because you're going to spoil it. They keep like, you'll never guess what happens at the end. It's like, I don't want to know. No. Don't tell me.
No, it's one of those, you've got to go into it blind, because if you know anything about it at all, it will spoil it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I won't say anything at all.
There's a bunch of, like, horror movies that I'm always meaning to watch. I think there's a few coming out. I think there's one called, like, Long Legs this year that, like, I'm very curious about, because the promotion for it has been very, like, enigmatic, and like we're not telling you what this movie's about, but it really hits that, like, kind of like, oh, that's some savvy marketing. I'm curious, but don't be bad or I'll be really mad at you. I showed my and then, like, in kind of continuing to watch like horror movies with my girlfriend, we watched the remake of Suspiria.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I really love that one.
I thought that was, because I must say I'm not really a Giallo fan.
No, I watched the original and I was like, oh, I get why people like this. I'm okay.
Yeah, but I thought it's quite good, but I did like the remake, actually. I know that's, some people thought it was heresy.
I understand, yeah. I think if I was like a diehard of the original, I'd be like, what is this?
Yes.
What is this? Isn't the same thing?
Oh my God, no.
Like, The Babadook was great. I watched that one recently. And I was like, because the running joke whenever I watch horror movies is like, I don't get, like, scared by horror movies. Like, I really enjoy the rush of watching them. And I do really like the kind of, not to sound like an annoying former art student, but I was like, the elevated horror of it all, where it's like, it's horror, but it's actually about abuse. And I'm like, I think that's so cool. But, like, I watched The Babadook fully being like, it's about motherhood. I'm not a mother. I'm not going to get affected by this. I got really upset by that movie. Yeah, in a way that I haven't in a really long time. And it was really refreshing. And it was so well done. And, like, when I was obviously afterwards, I was like, I gotta go on IMDb and look at all the trivia and feast upon all the facts about the movie so I can tell about people later. And it was just, like, hearing that the lady who made it was like, I'm not gonna make another one. Like, people, like, if they ever come up and ask for another one, I'm just gonna say no. And I'm like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was like, it's because it ends so beautifully. Like, it's such a perfect ending. Yeah. Like, it really ties up the theme of what the movie's really about. So well. But, like, the fact she's like, yeah, I said what I needed to say, and it ends. She's like, I'm not going to add to it. That'll just detract from the message. Even if someone paid me like $1 billion, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Also, thank you, because I don't need to see the Babadook 2, like Babatook or whatever they'll call it.
Yeah, we did. There is a lot of sequelitis.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, but
unfortunately, I say that. I was on Amazon Prime the other day. I was like, oh, they got Saw 10. I gotta watch that. I watched all the other ones for some reason.
Actually, I wasn't so impressed with that.
I've heard mixed things, and I'm sure I'll catch it when my girlfriend's not in the living room, because there's no way in hell she'll watch it with me.
It's worth a look, but it's not one of those. It's not a must-see.
I think, like, because I watched all of them when I was a student in, like, 1 week. Like, someone I was sharing halls with had, like, a thumb drive of all the movies on, and we watched, like, all of them in, like, the span of a week for Halloween. And I was kind of like, oh, these are disgusting, but there's also kind of a soap opera in the background, and I really need to know who's going to get caught.
You sort of think that should have been a TV series and not.
It would have been a really, like, there's no way that would have ever aired, and it would have been, like, really low budget and crap. But I would have watched every single episode as a student. Yeah. Would have gobbled that up.
Yeah. Like you said, like the ending of The Wicker Man, I always think that's the right ending for a horror film.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Like, bleak, kind of like, oh.
Yeah. All the happy endings where, the monster is killed and everything is lovely. Somehow that's not quite the same.
No, I understand when you watch a movie, especially when there's, like, characters who... I think horror movies have gotten better recently with characters that you really kind of do want to see live. Yeah. I know it's a stereotype where you kind of, like, don't care about the characters in some older horror movies. You're like, get them off the screen, I want to see them die horribly. Yeah. But again, like, in stuff like The Babadook, I was like, I need this mother and son to, like, make it to the end okay so badly. Like, I'm actually going to need to, like, watch videos of kittens afterwards to, like, feel something. If they don't get out okay, it's going to ruin my weekend.
Yeah. It's like, that's what I think. I love the Invasion of the Body Snatchers films. I mean, all the remakes, because they all have that really bleak, dark ending. Yeah, especially the Philip Kaufman one.
It's like, we are all screwed.
It's a masterpiece. I think that if you can sit through the last couple of minutes of Philip Kaufman's Invasion of the Body Snatchers and not be profoundly chilled, there's something wrong with
That's the
it.
thing, I don't need things to have, like, I'm a big fan of, like, I don't need things to always have a happy ending.
Yeah.
I'd always like to make some sort of, like, horror comic or, like,
Yeah.
some sort of, like, horror something.
Yeah.
But, like, it's kind of like, oh, would it bum me out to work on it? Like, very selfishly, I'm like, oh no, would I get, like, too sad? Like, obviously, a lot of the stuff I work on is for children,
Yeah.
and obviously has its own challenges, but, like, it is kind of, I can keep things kind of light and fun and jokey, which
Yeah.
is really fun to work on.
Yeah.
I think it would be a nice challenge to try and draw something that was, like, I've done a few, like less safe for children kind of comics talking about, like, mental health or just, like, a weird concept.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be really fun to do something. I'd love to do some sort of, like, folk horror comic
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
have to
that'd be good.
collaborate on a project.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Something like The Witch.
Oh, I love The Witch.
Oh, that's good. Or Blood on Satan's Claw. That's one of my favourites.
So I really want to watch that.
1970s.
I've always meant to watch it. I think, like, a local cinema near me might be screening it, or I might have missed it.
It's
I'd
well
really
worth
love to watch it,
seeing.
yeah.
I mean, it does show its age, but it is very, very creepy. In the same way that The Wicker Man is sort of kind of creeps up on you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's similar kind of thing. So yeah, highly recommended. Mm-hmm. Anyway, after that diversion, have you got more Cowgirls and Dinosaurs in the works?
So I would really like to. I think there are plans, but I am not entirely sure. But, like, I would definitely love, like, I've got, like, a whole, like, idea of where it would go. And, like, one of my big things when I was working on this book was I was like, oh no, there's too much desert. And, you know, obviously when I was, like, researching it, you know, when you think of Wild West, you think of big open plains, that kind of thing. Yeah. But obviously there was a lot of, like, geographical shake-up. There's, like, snow, and there's, like, you know, like, kind of more, like, riverside kind of thing. So that's, like, something that I would really want to include. I'd really love to include. You don't really, like, when you, like, do a first book, you have to kind of, like, okay, this is the world, this is the characters, this is the rules.
Yeah.
You know, people are very quick at getting comfortable with that, especially kids, I think. They're just like, okie dokie. Yeah. But I'd really want to try and push, especially, like, the relationships with the characters. I think it's really nice that the book ends the way it does with, like, the two main characters, Abigail and Clementine. Yeah. But I'd really like to kind of, like, get the second book and be like, poke at them and be like, there's going to be conflict now. How are you going to resolve that?
Well, there's a whole new set of creative challenges.
Yeah, literally. It's like its own thing where it's like the characters are here and they're established.
Yeah. Like,
you can keep going or you can flesh them out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lucie Ebrey, it's been lovely to talk to you. I've learned a lot.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you very much for coming along and talking to us today. Best of luck with Cowgirls and Dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's out on the 6th of June.
6th of June, you heard it here first, folks.
That was Bookmarks with Richard Gads. For more, visit www.richardgads.co.uk.